What's up, everybody? I am Jesse, or GameOverJesse, as you all may know me. Here with me, as always, is Daniel, or King Bergerson.
Hello, friend.
Yes. And joining us once again is Holly Wolf.
Oh.
Holly Wolf.
Wolf.
Wolf. Hi.
I'm sorry, Jesse. We're gonna make fun of
How,
your accent.
how am I don't understand how I'm saying it wrong this time.
Say like W-O-O-F.
Wolf?
Or yeah,
Wolf.
or W-U-F.
Or W-U-F, yeah.
Yeah, as opposed to wolf.
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 With that, you gotta hit that L.
Wolf. I was
Wolf.
putting an L. Wolf.
Now.
Alright.
This is gonna be all of our trip, Jesse.
Holly
I'm just gonna be making fun of
Holly, excuse me, is there a Holly Wolf here? Wolf?
Holly Wolf.
Wolf.
Holly Wolf?
Alright. Well, today we are going to be discussing the top 5 biggest lies or pranks from Nintendo, since it is the day after April Fool's. I thought it was going to be an interesting topic. These weren't really pranks from Nintendo, but they turned out to be pretty big pranks. I don't want to outright...
Unintentional pranks.
Yes, I don't want to call them lies from Nintendo, but
Lies.
they basically were. So,
Oh.
first
We were
up...
deceived.
Yes. Trickery from Nintendo. Starting off our list was Miyamoto telling us that the Nintendo 3DS would receive no new redesigns, and it was perfect the way it was. This was an interview. We've spoken about this a few times, but not like directly like we are now, but it was essentially after the DS released with like 5 or 6 different models. There's the DS, DSi, DSi XL, DS Lite, whatever other versions they had. And then they released the 3DS. And there was the reporter who had common sense and was like, well, Miyamoto, what do you have to say for the people who are waiting for the next version of the 3DS to buy one? I think he called it, the 3DS XL because the DS had the DS XL. And Miyamoto said that the 3DS, the way it was essentially perfect and needed no revisions. And then, like a month or two later, they announced the 3DS XL. So it's like he straight up lied to this reporter, knowing they were working on different versions. And you can't really get mad at Miyamoto for it, because when you work at the company, you can't reveal stuff until it's time to be announced. So it's not like he's a bad guy for lying to us. It's just, part of the contract and agreement. Like, you can't announce something before it's officially announced, or you get fined, get in a lot of trouble, lose your job, stuff like that. So it was essentially something like that, where he was asked about it, but he didn't have permission to reveal it. But I always think about it, and it makes me, like, every time Nintendo announces something now, it makes me wonder, like, is this like a marketing tactic, or are they being serious? So that's something that I always go to. But next up, Holly, you pick something from the list. There are 4 more.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm just gonna pick the next one because I love it, and I was sad with the delays. Breath of the Wild, countless delays. It will be released here. No, it won't. It will be released here.
Are you sure this will be released in 2015?
Are you?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
All of our team is working very hard.
We're almost done. We're so close.
There was
Look at this cool game we got. Look at this horse running.
Yeah.
Yay.
Oh.
It was that original interview with Miyamoto and Aonuma, where they're like sitting on the couch, and Miyamoto says,
knew. He's like, "Are you sure this is gonna be? Are you sure this is gonna be in 2015?"
Yeah. What was it? It was they promoted Star Fox,
and Majora's Mask.
Was it Majora's Mask?
Yeah. So this was when Star Fox was basically announced, like, unofficially.
Yeah.
Because he was like, oh, by the way, how's Star Fox going to Miyamoto? And Miyamoto's like, Star Fox? Yeah. You want to talk about that now?
Yeah. No, there was a thing.
Like, totally caught off guard.
There was a thing at the end of the video where they jokingly went like, my game's coming out on this day, and the other one's like, well, my game's coming out before that, and then they were like,
Majora's
well,
Mask
my
3D.
other game is coming before that. So it was essentially saying Zelda Wii U should release by the end of this year, and then the other person's like, well, Star Fox is going to release before that, and then Aonuma was like, well, Majora's Mask is going to release before that, like trying to one-up each other, and it ended up Zelda Wii U just never released, and even Star Fox was delayed so they could change the graphics. Everyone complained. So whenever Nintendo says they don't focus on graphics, Star Fox Zero was delayed just so they could work on the graphics, because everyone said it looked like the original Star Fox 64 just up-resed to be on the Wii U. So they like went in to make it like more detailed and stuff.
I think the biggest changes were like the shadowing and the lighting and stuff like that was way better in the final build of the game rather than like the ones that they first showed off. Because even just like changing the lighting can make the biggest difference in a game's visuals.
Like you can see that in Wind Waker and Wind Waker HD, where they added like tons and tons of bloom.
Oh yeah.
All right. So
the bloom is good.
do you want to? Well, actually, we need to explain this because it wasn't just delayed that time. There was the second time it was delayed. I believe this was the second time they revealed Twilight Princess HD.
Yeah,
and at the very
end
of
a trailer, 2016.
They had like 10 seconds of Zelda Wii U where he just like, is he on Epona? And he rides.
Yeah, he was like going through the trees, right?
No,
this was like on a hilltop.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes it pulls up on Epona and the camera just pans.
And this is the first time they reveal the Sheikah Slate as well.
Yes, that's true.
I made a video that actually got a lot of views. I thought it was the Book of Medora. Was that the name of it?
Yeah, it's hard to tell. Like from the footage, that is the name.
Yeah,
from the footage, it's hard to see what it is, though.
Yeah.
A lot of people thought it was a.
Yeah, it was like the book with the Sheikah symbol on it because it wasn't originally in Ocarina of Time. It was just this. It was the book from A Link to the Past, and then in Twilight Princess they reference it with the Ancient Sky book. But in Ocarina of Time 3D, which was made while they were working on I think it was made like towards the beginning of Breath of the Wild. Anyways, I thought
it was around Skyward Sword's. Ocarina of Time 3D was around Skyward Sword's development.
Oh yeah, that's right, because they had the posters for Skyward Sword.
Yeah.
So, the point what I was trying to make
I'm sorry.
In Ocarina of Time 3D, on the table in the house in Kakariko Village that people theorize is actually Impa's house, on the table is the Book of Medora, which is like the green book with the Sheikah symbol on it. So they added the book there when it wasn't even originally there. Like it wasn't even in the game, and they added it to the game. So then Nintendo always likes to hint towards what they're working on next. So whenever we seen Link with the Sheikah Slate, I and a lot of people assumed, oh, this makes sense. They added it to Ocarina of Time to refresh everyone's memory, so now they're adding it to Breath of the Wild. This is maybe how he casts spells and stuff, because that's kind of what the book was used before. It was like a magical book and stuff that the Sheikah used. So, anyways, it got delayed that time. They didn't even announce it was delayed. They just had the release date, and it's like, well, that's not this year. Like, that's next year. And then
they announced the first delay.
Yeah, and then the final delay was just a Twitter tweet from Aonuma that's like, "Hey guys, sorry, it's coming out 2000." Yeah, it's coming out 2017, and I think that time was because they were moving it to the Switch. So they also said that a huge part of the delay originally was after the trailer was shown off for Breath of the Wild, the very first one where it has Link jumping off Epona, shooting the Guardian. They said that the fan reception for the Guardian was so strong and positive that they ended up basing more of the game around it. So now, like, the Guardians are tied into the overall story of the game, whereas before, I think they were just supposed to be another common enemy, like the Lionel. But because there were so much, like, fan theories and speculation and positivity about the enemy, they ended up changing the story to be based around it. And then we ended up getting the Sheikah Slate, was the next thing, which is also tied into all of the Sheikah technology. So, anyways, that's the story of the delay. Daniel, would you like to pick one of the three remaining?
The Zelda Ura.
Zelda Ura. Tell us about it.
So that's one we've covered in great length in some of our other or more of Jesse's other videos. Although I think Holly voiced and I edited the ones about Zelda Ura. So what do you? We're back here. The gang's back together. But Zelda Ura was supposed to essentially be the expansion for Ocarina of Time back in the day, which was like almost the DLC of its day, really. Yeah. The Nintendo 64 disk drive, however, which was what you would play it on, was a commercial failure in Japan, so it never got released in North America. So they ended up not really following through with that. Yeah. Even though then they started Majora's Mask on the disk drive in development, and then they changed that too.
That's what I never understood. It's like the Ura expansion got canceled because the disk drive wasn't successful, but then they start a new Zelda game on the disk drive. So it's like maybe they thought like we'll give it a year and maybe it'll sell better.
But there was a lot of features in it that would have that essentially they said Master Quest was Ura Zelda, but there's so much stuff that was in or that was supposed to be in Ura Zelda that was not in Master Quest, that it's really not what they promised. Maybe it's what Ura ended up being, but it's not what they had pitched it to us as. So there was no new tunics, no new items, no new dungeons that were all supposed to be in Ura Zelda.
Yeah, there are interviews with Miyamoto where he says that the expansion would give you new dungeons, new side quests, new villages, new items, new weapons. Basically, like another half of the game would be added onto it. And then there were interviews where he says Master Quest is the Ura expansion, but in Master Quest, all you got was remixed dungeons. So there were no new villages, no new characters, items, none of that. So it's like...
That's like saying hero mode is the Ura of... but it's not really... it's not the Ura of Breath of the Wild. It's just the hard mode.
It's like if I promised you guys a book that I wrote, but then I just handed you a chapter from it. Yeah. It's like, it doesn't really... Yeah.
But there were some cool features, like apparently with Ura Zelda, if you, let's say, cut a sign or some bushes, the game would... It was on the disk drive, it was a rewritable disc. So it would stay cut for the entire game. Things like that. So going and smashing all those pots in that guy's house would have been a one-time deal. Or the guard's house. That would have been a one and done. You can't go back and forth through that door and just fill your wallet. Things like that. Which is kind of neat in premise. Yeah. And there was like footprints in the sand, even details like that would stay. Things. So it was some neat.
And then in I was gonna say there's not even, because he said, I think in that interview he said something about he used the example like if you're on the beach and there is sand, your footprints while you're walking across the beach would stay in the sand instead of like slowly fading away as you walked. And I was trying to think, like, there's no beaches in Ocarina of Time.
Beach? What beach?
Yeah, like there's Lake Hylia, but it's grass all the way up until the water. Yeah. And then it's rock.
I wonder if it would have been like a new area.
Yeah, they would have
added.
Termina had a beach.
Termina has a beach, yeah.
Yeah, maybe they just moved it to Majora's Mask.
Awesome. There's a lot of things though where, when they get cut out of one Zelda game, they've been very open about the fact that like, oh, well, the dungeons we didn't use in this game, we ended up just using in another Zelda game.
Yeah.
Like we just, don't worry, like it exists, it's just not in this game. So it's not like we're really like missing out per se. But you know, it would have been cool to see, like, maybe the beach that he mentioned was supposed to be an Ura thing, and then it ended up becoming Great Bay Coast.
Yeah.
Majora's Mask. That would be neat.
All right. Well, our number 4 prank or lie from Nintendo, however you want to word it. The Nintendo Switch is not going to replace the Wii U. It will be a third pillar alongside the 3DS and the Wii U.
That would require the Wii U to be a pillar in the first place.
Yes.
Oh,
No, I love my Wii U. I still use it.
And what happens now? All of the good games that released on the Wii U are just being ported over to the Switch. Like a few months after... This is another lie that Nintendo made. A few months after the Switch released, or leading up to the Switch's release, there were rumors that they were ending production of the Wii U. And Nintendo said that they weren't doing that. But then, just like before, because they said something like they're going to continue to support the Wii U alongside the Nintendo Switch. They're not going to be ending production. That's just a rumor, blah, blah, blah. A few months later, they officially announced, hey, we're ending production of the Wii U so we can produce more Nintendo Switch consoles.
More Switches!
Yeah. Miiverse will die!
Yeah, that was a big... I had friends that worked on like the Miiverse community manager team. So it's like, now like they just got pushed away to like other Nintendo jobs. So, yeah. It's like, hey, that reason that you get up every morning and come to work, like, we're just going to get rid of it.
That reason is dead!
Yeah, and like, they could have easily just brought it to the Switch. Miiverse was kind of cool.
I liked Miiverse, actually. Yeah. I liked doing stupid drawings on Miiverse. So.
Yeah. Let's see. And then the games that were built into the 3DS. Like, they had that RPG where you would take your Mii through things.
What was that called? There's like Stage and Smash from that.
Yeah.
In the 3DS version of Smash.
But it was really cool because it's like the 3DS had like a few random free games that were cool if you were just bored.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was basically Nintendo saying they would support the Nintendo Switch alongside the Wii U and 3DS, and then they just completely kill the Wii U. So, yeah. Like, if something else comes out in the future and Nintendo's like, no, we're going to support both of these.
Don't trust it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just don't even bother.
Yeah.
Because the same thing happened with our final thing on the list, which is, Daniel, do you want to take the Nintendo DS?
The Nintendo DS.
It's literally the exact same situation.
Thing. Yeah, the Nintendo DS
would not
replace the GBA. Yeah, so I think the reason that actually this happened, where they said, oh no, we're going to still support Game Boy Advance, the Nintendo DS is a separate thing, don't worry, even though it totally was pretty much the next Game Boy.
Yeah.
Was that I don't think they knew how well the whole dual screen thing would go, like how successful the DS would be. So they wanted to still be able to fall back on the sort of Game Boy brand, if in case the DS was like the next Virtual Boy, which it wasn't, thankfully.
Yeah.
You know, they had their backup plan. So maybe that was the same thing with the Switch. You know, where they're like, well, if the Switch sucks worse than the Wii U, we can make the next Wii U, right?
The Wii U 2.
Wii U 2.
The new
Wii U XL.
Yeah.
The gamepad is twice as big.
That's horrible. Yeah, no. This was basically the same thing with the Switch. As Daniel said, they were getting ready to release the DS, and they said, no, the DS isn't replacing the Game Boy Advance. They're both going to be supported alongside each other, but then it's like, if it's not replacing the Game Boy Advance, why does it play Game Boy Advance games?
Yeah, why is it that?
Why?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Like, that doesn't make sense, Mr. Nintendo. It's like, it's literally the same as Sony saying, no, the PlayStation 4 is not replacing the PlayStation 3. We're going to support both. Which is kind of true. Like, the first year or two, whenever they release games, like Call of Duty releases to the old generation and the new generation for like a year or two. Yep. Assassin's Creed does the same thing.
Just Dance 2018 came out on the Wii.
Yeah. There was a new Wii game that came out this year.
Come
that
on,
sold
guys.
millions of people bought a new Nintendo Wii game for $60.
For some reason.
Yeah. Like,
I'm just,
you can
yeah.
buy a Nintendo Wii for like $20, so
What?
maybe that's...
No, they're... Yeah. No, I always scope out the Facebook Marketplace because I buy so much stuff there, and it's absurd. And yeah, like, people's used Wii consoles, it's absurd, like, how they're practically giving them away. And just, like, stacks of Wii games.
Yeah,
And I looked at it and I'm like, I don't want it.
I was buying something from a pawn shop, and they had Nintendo Wiis, like, an entire shelf full of Wiis for like $40. And just like on a whim, I said, if I buy this, can I get the Nintendo Wii for $20, which was like half of what they were selling it? And they were basically like, yes, just take it. Like, no one is buying the Wii.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
and it came with like the Wii Motion Plus controllers, which are like $40 to buy a new one on their own. So
Jeez.
The Wii
So,
Motion Plus is...
yeah, like if you want to play Skyward Sword, you have to have everything.
I know, because, okay, the year Skyward Sword came out, I got it for Christmas that year from my mother, who, bless her, she's wonderful. But she didn't know that it came, like, you needed the Wii Motion Plus, and I didn't have that at the time.
Wow.
Yeah, you
So
have to,
I couldn't play it for, like, I was, like, sitting there after Christmas until I was, like, could afford to buy a Wii Motion Plus, because I was, you know, a teen. I was, like, 18 at that time, so...
I was very fortunate. Skyward Sword was the first game that I got free. So I played Skyward, like I had it I had it like a week early. So and like I imagined I would just be playing the entire game like non-stop, but I played it for like 3 hours and then I didn't play it for like 2 weeks. So it's like I had the game a week early, but I still didn't really play it for like a week after it was released. So
Savage.
Wow, Jesse.
yeah.
And here I was getting it for Christmas and then staring at it every day crying. Because I want to play the new Zelda.
No, it was, I think what it was just the loft wing part kind of pushed me away, and then I came back to it.
There's a lot.
Yeah, now it's
Honestly,
it's
like,
simple,
the beginning of that game is too long.
but yeah.
That's like my big
It
beef.
was a long game, beginning wise.
Yeah, once you get onto the surface, it's a lot of fun. But like getting to there, it's just it takes too long.
So the selfie that Holly took like 2 minutes ago was to promote. Nice.
Oh yeah, I took a
Where
selfie
is
and I
it?
posted it. It's on Twitter now. I just posted the link on my Snap and then my IG story and then my Twitter. So,
So
Well,
really quickly, we can go through our top 5 OMG